Hey there, I'm Nibmiz and I like to make games. I'm currently developing my indie speedrunning game SINGULARIUM and posting devlogs to share my progress. Today, I'll explain how I added a level editor to my game, so you guys will be able to design the game for me. I'll also go into how I made the game's user interface look super clean and polished. But before we get into that, if you like my devlogs, it'd be absolutely amazing if you could subscribe to my channel. Only about 4% of my viewers actually are, and it really does help me out a lot. Cheers! Now, a lot of you guys have been asking me to add a custom level editor into the game, and let you guys make your own levels and share them online for the community. I love this idea because I really hate level design, so letting you guys make levels for me is a total win-win. But I originally didn't think it was realistically achievable within the time frame I had set for myself. Making an entire 3-dimensional level editor from scratch, let alone one that's actually usable for you guys, seemed like an impossible task for me, considering I haven't even finished the levels I plan on making. Honestly, I'd basically given up on the idea, until two things happened. First, I saw a devlog by Code Parade, who's an amazing game development YouTube channel, where he showed that he'd made a custom level editor for his 4-dimensional game. If he could make an editor that worked in 4 dimensions, I could definitely make one in just 3. And the second thing that happened is that I came across a video of a racetrack editor in a racing game. See, the trouble is, the levels in SINGULARIUM can't just be drawn out and then extruded outward, like in Doom for example, because the levels are fully 3D and have tons of vertical twists and turns. I thought that in order to make a level editor, I'd have to make a full Blender-style 3D modeling program where you move vertices and connect faces, and that would require a lot of math, which I just didn't think I could do within my time frame. But in the racing game I saw, none of that was used at all. You would just select a pre-made piece of the track and place it down. Each piece would automatically connect to the previous one, so no complicated 3D editing. I had found my solution. Using this as inspiration, I made some blocks, and then made them automatically attach to the previous one every time you place them. Just like that, the concept was done. I could even store the levels as plain text because they're so linear and orderly. I just list each of the block names in sequence, then read that and spawn the correct blocks when I want to load a level. And, as promised, here's some of the levels my friends made with the new editor. By the way, if the game looks interesting to you, please go wishlist it on Steam. It's absolutely free and you can always change your mind later, plus it's a big help to me. Also, consider supporting me on Patreon. Supporters get early access to beta builds of the game, plus a free copy of it once it's out. Anyway, this week I decided it was high time to get the UI in order. I started with the heads-up display, the thing that players will have on screen at all times to give them vital information. It's important that the HUD is both clear and aesthetic. Every element of the HUD should be super intuitive and readable to give all the necessary information to the player at just a glance. And because the players will be looking at this UI during the entire time they're playing, it can't look like this. I got to work planning out the new HUD. I started by drawing it out in a photo editing program, by grabbing a screenshot of the game, then drawing on top of that the elements I wanted for the current elapsed level time and the player's speedometer. Once I was done planning it out, I went back to Unity. I had to design a radial meter for the speedometer, and for that I used a shader. I edit that shader through script to show the player what percentage of their full speed they're currently at. I was very inspired by Cyberhook for the speedometer, and in that game its color morphs from blue to red depending on your speed. I didn't want to exactly copy this, as blue wouldn't mesh very well with the game's colors in my opinion, but I did make the speedometer interpolate between light yellow to an angry dark orange, to let the player know if they're going at top speed, even at just a glance. This here is what I ended up with, and I'm quite happy with the result. It feels both very sleek and very readable to me. As you can see, with this addition, the game looks way more polished and professional than before, and I'm really happy with this new look. Now that the HUD was finished, I went on to work on a main menu. For this, I took inspiration from some of my favorite game UIs, the Switch Legend of Zelda's and Hollow Knight. These main menus convey a really amazing sense of loneliness and atmosphere while still keeping the design very simple. I worked a lot on recreating that general style by using a thin and readable font I found online, along with keeping the colors super basic and limited. I also felt it needed movement, so I animated the black hole in the background to sway a little bit. Although what I ended up with is far from the level of quality that Zelda and Hollow Knight have, I'm really happy with how it's turning out. I plan on updating this in the future to add a better title, header, and maybe change the buttons and their sizes. I also added a little level select menu that shows you your best times on levels. This part is very subject to change, as it'll have to evolve along with the order of the levels and unlock different levels based on your times. I'm also planning a little medal ranking system inspired by Neon White, so based on your best times, those will show up here as well. Well, that's all the progress I made on the game this week. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like if you liked the video, leave a comment about any suggestions you have, and wishlist Singularium on Steam. Bye! Extra thanks to all my patrons: No_Dream366, Sewerman, Logic Tom, Spam, The Jumping Box, Blitzer, Chris Young, Paris Kiyu, Spotty the Turtle, Daniel, and Spygun21.